Hey, welcome to the Do Good Work podcast. Today we're talking to Stephen Izen. Stephen is the founder and CEO of Lokai, an element of balance. He currently serves as the youngest member of the National Board of Make-A-Wish Foundation, and he was named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list for retail and e-commerce in 2017, was the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Awards Finalist for 2016, and graduated Cum Laude from Cornell University in 2013. And he's now on a mission to inspire people to stay humble at their highs and hopeful in their lows. Steven, thanks for being on, man.
What's up, bro?
How you doing? Hey,
Great.
I always love, when I was growing up, I went to San Diego State, and we always had founders, entrepreneurs come tell us their stories, their journeys of like the Pura Vida guys who went surfing. I forgot where they went surfing, but they just bought a bunch of bracelets, like a black bag full of bracelets, brought it back to the US, started selling stuff, and then now they're this nice, awesome company. Or like the humble beginnings of other companies like product or e-commerce, and it's really cool to hear. I'd love to hear your story first. Like, what got you started in entrepreneurship? And if you can share that with us, I think it's always inspiring to see how others have done it, because it can fuel us internally of what we're capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give the listeners a bit of context, the name of my first company is called Lokai, and they're bracelets that hold water from Mount Everest and mud from the Dead Sea in them
It's
as
crazy.
reminders to stay humble when you're on top of the world and hopeful when you've hit a low. I came up with the idea for Lokai when I was 19. I was about 13 years ago. My grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Mm.
And I was just thinking about the highs and lows that I was going through in life and how everybody goes through highs and lows. It doesn't matter your age, demographic, income level. We all have highs and lows. And I said, okay, what are the highest and lowest points on Earth? Mount Everest and the Dead Sea. And how could I take elements from those two places and incorporate them into a product that people could wear every day as a reminder to find balance in life, staying humble and hopeful. And I told my dad the idea, and he said, that's a great idea, but everyone has great ideas. Now go execute
Mm.
it. That's the hard part. And so I worked on the company for 3 years while I was in college and then launched Lokai in June of 2013 when I
Wow.
graduated. The thing that I am most proud of with the company is that we donate 10% of our profits to charity.
Mm.
And over the last almost 10 years now, we've donated a little over $9.4 million to different nonprofit organizations.
It's beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about like why your aim to do social good and how you incorporate that with your team or with the company culture. Because I think that's something that a lot of people aspire to. They sometimes don't know how to incorporate it. Or even those who are currently in those companies, they might stand for something, but it's not fueled with passion. I'm curious to know, how do you maintain that?
Yeah, it's kind of something that started organically when the company started, right? Because my grandfather had Alzheimer's. And so it was about helping others and giving back. And I think that giving back is an important part of perspective and finding balance in your own life. And so it
Mhm.
also really played into our brand message. And, I just grew up with parents who always told me and taught me and showed me the importance of helping others and giving back in life. And yeah, it's just part of the DNA of the company, that giving back aspect. And I also, when I was 19, I saw everything Patagonia was doing and Tom's shoes. And I wanted to be a company that could thrive and be successful from a profit standpoint, but also successful in having a positive impact on the world. And this was our way of doing that.
I love that. And I learned the hard way of, I pretended, not pretended, but we did like a nonprofit for like an experiment in college. It failed, of course, but like it was like proceeds go to like a local charity and whatever. But that's when I learned my lesson, is that in my opinion, it's best to make a really good profitable company and then donate or give that to the causes that you care about the most. So I love that you're doing that right now. Tell me a little bit more, but this is so interesting. From the highest to the lowest places on earth, first of all, how did you make the first products, the MVPs? How did you get those materials, which sounds incredible, really? And then third, I see you have partnerships with major sport like Major League Baseball, NFL, et cetera. How did you go from an idea, concept, MVP to get those cool elements together to now creating these partnerships?
Yeah. So ignorance is bliss. I Googled silicone factories
Okay.
in China and started there. And I flew to Shenzhen, not knowing anyone, not knowing anything, and just
Dang.
figured it out along the way. Like it's just built asking people for help, I would say is one of the most underappreciated things that an entrepreneur can do. I think a lot of
Mm.
people are afraid to ask for help because I think they're afraid that people will say no. But people are very willing to help and support entrepreneur that's trying to build something, especially if you're telling them why you're trying to build it. And so found the factory. The mud was a lot easier to get from the Dead Sea because they make a lot of beauty products out of mud from the Dead Sea. So it's a commodity. So I was able to source that. And then with Everest, we eventually got connected to a climbing group. If you wanted to go climb Everest, you wouldn't just go by yourself. You
Yeah,
would
no.
you
You
would
always
go with
take
a
like
team.
expeditions. Yeah.
Yeah, an expedition. And so essentially we hire and have a team of Sherpas who climb Everest, bottle the water, bring it down, and ship it to our factories.
That's so cool. So you going back to the principles, you took bold risks, really. Like you had an idea and a concept, your dad pushed you like, hey, actually take action. And you just did what you didn't overthink it, but you did take bold risks to actually go to probably a country you've never been before and not knowing like who to connect with or how to make these things. Tell me more about like when you're growing the company and you're building a team in that how that process went from being just you to now, hey, we actually have something. What was that turning point like?
Yeah, I had the product. I made the first batch of samples or bracelets and humble beginnings. Like I started out with product and a display, walking door to door in New York City, walking into boutique stores, yoga studios, like, and just saying, "Hey, is the manager here or the
Mm,
owner of the store? Can I talk to them? This is my story. Like, will you carry Lokai?" And I'd get turned down 99% of the time,
yeah.
but sometimes I'd get a yes, and those yeses just fueled the next 100 no's. And I think that, you got to get a bit lucky in every business that you're in.
Mhm,
And I think one strength that we recognized right off the bat with Lokai was that people connect their personal stories to our product because the product is
mm,
about finding balance in life.
yep.
And so when people are talking about Lokai, they're talking about their own stories of highs and lows that they go through. And so we did two things that I think really helped us become successful. One was our first partnerships were with charities
Mhm,
because we knew that we already gave back and we understood that people that were connected to the charities communities were most likely going through a low, right? Like you're not really in the community of breast cancer or Alzheimer's or Make-A-Wish
mhm,
unless you've been affected by one of those things, for the most part, right? And so we were able to tell our story about staying humble and hopeful, and that really resonated with those communities. And second, we never undervalued the marketing that was associated with word of mouth. And so
huh,
we just tried to continue to um, get our community to tell more people about our story and our product, and it just
yeah.
became a ripple effect, and we hit a tipping point, and it just exploded.
I wanna from a like a for me, a marketer and like from a brand point of view, like it's I love the fact because one, it's unique, high and low. I think for me, like I personally want to get one and get one as a gift, right? Because I need to be humbled and also when the lows, you need to see that. So it's a good reminder. But second, the beauty is that your product, you're not selling bracelets, you're selling that reminder, that emotion and the attachment of my story to that. So you're really just like essentially elevating my own, I wouldn't say status, but my experience around that. And I think that's the beauty of it is that you're telling a story. It makes an impact. So it makes you feel good when you purchase it. But at the same time, the product itself transforms the individual using it through elevating their experience. And at any time people you feel better about themselves, they'll always buy. So that's just looking at that from an outsider's perspective. Obviously, like a 2 minute clean cut here, like a raw take. That's just what I'm seeing, and it's a really good takeaway for anyone listening right now. Is like, how are you? What are you doing? Are you not really selling a product or service? What are you doing for the other person's identity, transformation, self world, like self view, beliefs, and encouragement, and anything because the pricing isn't ridiculous. Anything that helps you stimulate or increase your experience, like it's such an easy buy. It's like a no brainer.
Thank you.
That's so cool. So tell me a little bit more about how you keep balance because you've grown. It's clearly growing very well. Tell me about how you keep balance. Like, how do you live out the mission statement?
Yeah, I've gotten better at it with the years. One little trick that I really use is I think about the last day on Earth, my last day on Earth,
Yeah.
and looking back at my life and what I'm going to regret, what I'm going to be proud of, what I'm going to wish I spent more time on or less time on. And I try to live every day of my life that way. If you think about your time as a pie chart, I have family and friends, I have my fitness and my health and wellness, and I have work. And really, if it doesn't fit into one of those buckets, I really don't do it. And I
Mm,
try to stay very disciplined in that way. And I do that by living by my calendar. Like
mm.
family time is blocked off in my calendar. My workouts are blocked off because if they weren't, it would just get sucked up by the next meeting or the next email. And I really try to stick to that.
No, I hear you. And I think I follow something very similar. And I know that the blocking and some days don't always work, right? Like we just have to try again the next day. But I think it's important to identify like what's important in your life. And you hit like the core elements, like your work. Everyone has a body, so they have health. Everyone has a mind, so there's mental health. There's also people around us, our relationships, and what excites us, or like the passions. Like I've blocked off, like I had to start blocking off surfing, and now I'm actually doing it because it's something that I used to do and haven't done in a long time. So that's always exciting. What's next for you? Really, like you're focusing on impact, you're focused on mission, you're focused on growth. What's next for you?
Yeah, we launched a second company. It's called Elements of Balance. It's a beverage and supplement brand that uses clinical doses of adaptogens to help you find balance throughout your day. You can see the theme. And we have an energy focused calm and sleep product. And we incubated it out of Lokai because it was about 2.5 years ago. And we said, okay, we're Lokai. We're a brand about inspiring people to find balance in their life. How else can we authentically help people with that mission? And we learned about adaptogens and how powerful they were in helping balance and regulate your cortisol levels. And we started on the science side first. So we found clinical studies use the same suppliers and doses that are in those clinical studies and have created and launched a ready to drink beverage line as well as a supplement line.
That's exciting. And so it's a lot of companies that I see are diving into the like the wellness, some of them for longevity, but this is because you care a lot about the balance in terms of how we approach our day in our life. That's so cool. Has that launched yet or is that how's that one doing?
Yeah, we launched it. You can find it on our website. We're on Amazon. We're in about 1,000 retail doors around the country. If you're on the West Coast, Erewhon. If you're on the East Coast, Wegmans. Those are some examples.
That's exciting, man. So both the physical reminder and also an actual balancing supplement or drink. That's pretty cool, man. For our listeners out here, Stephen, what's the best place for people to go to one, thank you for being on, and two, learn a little bit more about you?
Yeah, you can go to lokai.com,
Yeah,
LOKAI.com. And then Elements is elementsofbalance.io. You can also
sweet.
just search Elements of Balance drinks on Amazon. I buy everything on Amazon, so I was like, these drinks have to be on Amazon because I
Everything
just
is on
want
there.
yeah, of course.
No, I love it. Cool, man. We'll put those links in the show notes. I appreciate you. It was awesome to hear your story.
Awesome. All right, Raul.
If you found value in today's podcast, please consider sharing this with someone that you believe could also benefit from this episode. You never know, you may be the catalyst that opens them up to a new way of operating their business and experiencing life. As always, it's an honor to be a small part of your journey. This is Raul Hernandez. Do good work.